Hi everyone, this is Mayank. I'm a product manager at Facebook or Meta.
Hi everyone, this is Marilee. I'm a product manager at Google, and this is Product Breakdown. So, what is this about? This is a weekly series where we discuss a new product every single week. We talk about things like why is this product even hot? What is the product strategy? Me and Mayank kind of exchange ideas and we kind of break it down into bits. So we're very, very excited. Today, we're actually going to be talking about this great concept called TikTok restaurants. I know you're probably surprised about what this is all all the case, but yeah, let's kick things off. So Mayank, do you want to talk to us about it? What are TikTok restaurants?
TikTok restaurants. Yeah, I say like I'm just shocked what people come up with these great ideas. I never thought of TikTok restaurants. TikTok for me was music, short videos, and just all those fun stuff. And they just amazed us with this new concept. So users are crazy about food in TikTok. If you go right now and search for food recipes, you have a zillion videos coming out. What TikTok is doing is trying to take that experience and making it real. So think about this: when a user sees a video by a creator of a food recipe, a good example would be feta pasta. It's a trending recipe on TikTok. But really, you should check it out. By the way, it's
Right.
amazing.
That sounds
It's a
great.
tomato feta. Yeah, it's tomato feta pasta. Super awesome. So people see that recipe and they want to create their own, and some cannot do it. So TikTok is bridging the gap and saying, listen, if there are trending recipes and the creators are creating them, can we bring it to your plate? As a user, can you click a button and eat that, what you're seeing? That's TikTok restaurants. They're collaborating with cloud kitchens. They want to be in 1,000 restaurants by end of 2022. And the way it'll work is they'll collaborate with Grubhub, and you can see trending menus that'll change quarterly on Grubhub. And users can pick what they want to order from those trending recipes and get it delivered through Grubhub. And that's TikTok restaurants.
This is so amazing. I actually had seen one of these viral recipes. I think it was about whipped coffee, and it looked great. I think I tried to replicate it and do it myself. It was a it was a disaster, but this is really great.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm really excited. I would love to order something which I see. But really, I'm just curious, why are they doing this? I see the bridging the gap between what I see and what I mean, if I want to eat that. But like, what does it mean for the user or for the creators? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think if we take things one step back, we can kind of connect this viral recipes to the viral challenges that used to exist for Facebook and Instagram. For example, I don't know if you remember, there was the ice bucket challenge for ALS support,
Yeah, I do.
where people would actually put a bucket of ice and throw it to people for raising awareness, and everyone was doing it, all from celebrities, everyone. But things would kind of stop there. I mean, you could challenge yourselves to do the same, your friends to do the same, but things would kind of stop there. So the way I see this concept with the TikTok restaurants, I think you're taking things one step further and you're tapping on this viral phenomenon in order to bring this new dimension on how creators can interact with users. So what does that mean? Usually when we consume content as consumers, essentially it's either about hearing music or looking at people moving. But with this, we can actually taste what a TikTok video looks like. And it's, if you think about it, it's like this,
Wow.
we're tapping onto a new dimension of entertainment. And I think it's just brilliant and fantastic. And if anything, this can help users get converted to being creators on their own. For example, if I try whipped coffee at home, maybe I can say, oh, wait, I'm Greek. We have this fantastic Greek coffee, and I add this variation where I put some cinnamon on the milk. It's great, by the way. So maybe this can encourage me to become a creator on my own. For creators, I think, and I believe actually that we're supporting and encouraging creators to create even more, to be even more creative. It's a new stream of income because, from my understanding, these restaurants are actually providing some credit to the account holders that were the first inventors for this. But what does it mean for TikTok? Like strategically, why would TikTok want to do this? Because it's quite a big move to move things into a more immersive experience for testing this viral recipes. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Totally. Levi, I just loved your point of view on the adding a third dimension to it. So initially, just want to connect to that. Initially, users could see their content created by their creators, could hear it, and now they can taste it. Wow, that's a different level of social connection or a different level of connection TikTok is trying to facilitate here. Love it. Okay, cool. So the question is what it means for TikTok. Yeah, I was thinking like, what does it mean? Oh, maybe they will want to start a new vertical for, let's say, restaurants, but then they've made it very clear in the launch, which we both read on TechCrunch, they don't want to get into the restaurant business. So it's very upfront and clear. That's not the objective, which I think I believe in because they are not an operations company. They are a technology company building a social network and so on and so forth. So it's not a new vertical strategy. So one, it's not that. Number two, I do think it's a good user acquisition strategy, specifically in the US. If you think about TikTok, it's growing crazy. And the challenge is the brand awareness, like how many people know about TikTok. And of course, a certain segment knows about TikTok really, really well. But to go to the next level, TikTok needs to create the brand awareness to help them in their user acquisition. I think this will facilitate that for sure. On the other side, on the creator side, this is giving a new dimension for creators to interact with their with the users, which is absolutely unheard of. So they're disrupting a space which was very two-dimensional, which will attract more creators to come and try TikTok. So I think it'll help both demand and supply side of TikTok's ecosystem and help it grow in the US. I'm talking from a US perspective for now. I'm sure it can be scaled to other countries. And then what does it mean for TikTok specifically from a brand perspective? I think that's where I was trying to create analogies between where has this happened in the past? Where have we seen brands trying to create value for the ecosystem, but also keep making sure they extract value out of it? And the first example that came to mind was the classic concept of product inserts. So if you go back to the James Bond movies or Top Gun. In James Bond movie, you'll see Aston Martin being featured in a way where, it's the car for James Bond. If you look at Top Gun, you'll see Ray-Bans flashing across the movie. Yeah. And yeah, the Ray-Bans, right? It made Ray-Bans so hip. Again, so that's a brand insert they're talking about right now. So when you see a menu of TikTok, or when you see a TikTok-powered menu on Grubhub from where users can order, it's creating that brand awareness of TikTok and will push you, if you're not a TikTok user, to go and install TikTok and try it out a little bit. And also, if you're already a user, it reinforces the brand in your mind. So I think it's a classic strategy of, it's a brand play, which will increase brand awareness for TikTok, which will also help in user acquisition going forward. And it's not a vertical play. So that's how I see what it means for TikTok. So I think, Murali, this is cool, but what's the business model? Have you thought about that a little bit? Like, this is great, a brand play, but there should be some business model attached to it. Don't you think so?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, I want to comment a bit on the cloud kitchen concept. It's pretty fascinating, the whole cloud kitchen. I know that TikTok is not creating, a new vertical, but the possibility is endless, right? For chefs to join, for chefs to become influencers. And to your point before I answer the question, you said that this is gonna encourage user growth, but I would say this is gonna open TikTok up to a whole new persona that might not just be teens or young professionals, maybe towards kind of the older persona demographically. So maybe older people that just love to cook will want to get onto TikTok to create their own recipes, right? So I think this is really great. In terms of the
Murali,
yeah.
Let me appreciate your point on the persona. I love the fact that TikTok is coming from an angle that creators are already doing that. So this organic behavior, let's convert them into a real food on your plate. Great idea. Love it, right? But your point of view is, well, no, that will happen. But along with that, we'll also have the chefs who are not on TikTok. Now they have incentive to promote their nice, good-looking dishes on TikTok, because yes, that will also help people come to the restaurants and try it out. Maybe they start trending. Maybe they become a TikTok-powered chef. So I love it. And just on a quick definition of cloud kitchen, Murali, you just mentioned cloud kitchens are kitchens that they're no real restaurants there. They're just a kitchen, and users can go to an online app like DoorDash, Grubhub, etc., and order the food from these kitchens. They don't call them restaurants because there's no seating place there. So that's cloud kitchen in the cloud, just for people who don't know what cloud kitchen is. Murali, go for it. Business model. What's the deal there?
Well, first of all, TikTok gets to create partnerships with companies like Grubhub and DoorDash in a very concrete and tangible way, which is really great because you wouldn't necessarily see this connection directly before. So that's number one. Who knows what the partnership would look like, right? So it can be Grubhub giving a percentage of their earnings to TikTok or vice versa. So that's kind of an interesting process. Creators also will be given some credit, some form of credit, maybe even payment for the recipes that they provide. They will be featured frequently. So every time someone orders, maybe the name of the dish, it's not going to be whipped coffee, but it's going to be Marilee's Greek coffee or something like that. But the opportunity is endless. Maybe eventually we can actually have bookstores from people that have published their own recipes, and maybe people will be asked to, hey, do you want to convert your recipes into viral TikTok videos? And we can kind of work backwards, because this is going to increase your sales for the book. This is going to help us get even more content and recipes on board, and we can kind of create some form of partnership as well. So I think the whole business development and partnership piece, I know, again, TikTok does not want to make this a thing or a vertical, but there's just so much to digest. So there are a lot of unknowns, but yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So you're saying this is a play where, sorry, there's an experiment where they're trying to see what happens if we take an organic use case, give it a third dimension, that is, let's say, see, hear, and feel, or touch and feel is the third dimension, physical dimension. Starting with food as a vertical. If food works out, then they figure out, oh, can we do that with books? So it could be books, or it could be photography. Trending pictures can be converted into actual sort of wallpaper, and so on and so forth. Then there is sort of a commercialization of content of some form into a physical form that completes the current creator fan journey that we're seeing in almost every platform. It's not just TikTok, it's also on Instagram, and so on and so forth. Oh, I like that. So it's like, we're not just saying it's a restaurant as a play, it's more of a physical vertical as a play to connect the dots together for creating more value for creators and users. Interesting.
I like
Okay,
this.
I like it.
I
Yeah.
like the concept of the immersion concept. It reminds me of how Bumble, the dating app, would actually obviously provide the opportunity for people to connect and date. But then one day they said, look, we are going to be providing a building where we're going to have sitting space and dining, so that you can actually take these chatting sessions to actual physically being able to meet each other in person. So I think this whole virtual, immersive, in person, physical concept, there's something there. My question to you is: this is new, this is niche, this is innovative. So, Mariang, do you think this is here to stay, or do you think this is more like a crazy experiment that will stay in the history and it will die like one of these challenges died eventually?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm a skeptic on this one. I think so. The way I look at any new opportunity for a company is what your strengths are, and are you playing to your strengths, or you're trying something very different and you may fail. Only one company that has gone ahead and tried things beyond their strength and has succeeded is Amazon. They've tried a zillion things. Like, they started with e-commerce, but they ended up with Amazon Web Service and Alexa and so on and so forth. But they know how to create something that they're not good at and still go nail it. There's only one company that does it. Apple has not done it. Microsoft has not done it. Any big company is hard. So that's one. So if you go to TikTok, their value prop, I mean, if you look at the strength is to create a strong platform, online platform, to connect influencers, creators with users. this is getting into operations of delivering food. There's a lot of complexity attached to it. What happens if I press a button on Grubhub and the food doesn't show up? Who takes the brunt of it? Like, there is that use case. Okay, TikTok can say it's up to Grubhub, but then their logo is of TikTok. Like, how do they address that use case? What happens if the food is bad? Who takes the brunt of that? Is it TikTok, the creator, or the restaurant? Again, people may say these are solvable problem, but these are expensive. It's an expensive workflow. So I think it's a good test, but I'm a skeptic because it's beyond their strengths to create an operational model where they can make this work. So I think it's a cool concept to create spikes. There could be some boutique restaurants, maybe New York City, London, Shanghai, and some other cities in the world, just as an experience to feel TikTok. It's like an Apple store where you go and see Apple products, but it's just for the sake of experiencing it. Maybe you'll buy it. So I think I don't know about 1,000 restaurants, but then at the end of next year, by the end of this year, I think about like maybe 2 or 3 restaurants in each big city just to connect with people, but not as a mainstream way to serve people. That's my take on this, Murali.
Yeah. There are certainly a lot of tactical things that need to be ironed out, but the whole concept on its own proves the need to kind of invest at least in kind of the research and see if it's going to be profitable in a way. But yeah, I think that was great. One thing I want to tell to the people that are listening to us is if you like our product breakdowns, please subscribe. We have, I think this is episode number 5. We're so excited about this sort of thing. So press the subscribe button because we will be bringing a lot of new and niche ideas like the TikTok restaurants to you. So Mayank, would you like to summarize today's episode?
Absolutely. Thank you, Murali. So TikTok launching restaurants, super exciting. What are these? These are cloud kitchens with menus picked from trending TikTok videos. They'll change quarterly, and TikTok says they will be in 1,000 restaurants by end of this year, 2022. Super exciting. We think it's positioned for a product for creators to connect with their users. And to Murali's point, like she made a good point, it's a third dimension to it. It's a physical form of connections. You can now eat what you see and hear. So love the concept. We can't wait to try it. We think it's a brand play versus a new revenue stream. So we'll see how this plays out in this year. So pretty excited, looking forward to the new changes on this development. So stay tuned. We'll cover this when we see new restaurants launching. We might go and try it out. You should try it out. Leave your feedback to us. That's all for this episode. Thank you so much, everyone. See you next time.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.